Hey everyone, it's Robert Fedoruk here with another Go with the Flow. This is the series where I jump right into Flow Designer. I do as little edits as possible to my videos, and I try and build something cool for you guys in Flow Designer. In this episode, we're going to be talking about project management. And if you've ever done project management deployments or worked in ITBM or worked with a PMO, you know that project status reports are a big deal. And what sucks is the project managers have to create those project status reports manually. So we're going to use Flow Designer to take that labor out of the system. And we are also going to make the experience a little bit richer by adding some important information to the status reports so that when the PM gets there, it's already loaded with useful stuff. So let's go to Flow Designer, and the first thing we're going to need to do is establish a trigger. Now, I don't want this to happen transactionally. I want this to happen for every project manager's open projects every single month. Might be different for your PMO. You might do weekly. It's just whatever works for you. So we are going to do a trigger of monthly, and we need to select the day that it runs on. And I just learned very recently that if you pick the 31st, then that acts as end of month for months that have less than 31 days. 13 years, I didn't know that until now. So we're gonna run it on the end of the month, the 31st, at 6 a.m. So let's hit done on that. So what we wanna do is add a project status to every project in a certain set of criteria. So we need to look up those records before we can do everything for each of them. So let's look up our projects. We're going to do that with the action of look up records, and we are going to do that for the project table. Now, one thing I've learned is if you just search for project, there is like a lot of tables. But if you do something like name it by its database name, so let me do PM_project, it's a little bit better, but a bigger list. But what I've also found out is if you can use these square brackets, PM_project, there, now I've got one result, which is awesome. That will work extra awesome when you're working on super common database titles like Risk or CMDB. So we have some criteria for the project. Obviously we want active ones. We don't do project status reports on inactive ones. And we also want one where the state is one of open or work in progress. We do not want to be building status reports against closed complete, closed skipped, closed incomplete, nor do we want to do it on projects that are pending. Just for the purposes of this example, I'm just going to hard code this so it only works on one project. So let's save that. Okay, so now that we've looked up the records, we need to do something for each of them. So let's put in the flow action. So let's put in the flow logic of for each. And Flow Designer is not going to make any assumptions about what set of records we're going to do the for each for. So we've got to tell it explicitly, use the project records that I established in activity number 1. So we're going to grab that activity 1 project records, drop us in here. So now it's ready to do something for each of the records that it found in that lookup records. We'll hit done. Okay, now comes the part where we want to get data to enrich the project status reports with. That means we are going to be looking up all kinds of other records. Now, if you work with project, you know there's all kinds of related records. There's risks, issues, decisions, actions, changes, cost plans, benefit plans, just tons and tons of different related data. And we are going to use risks, issues, and changes for this small example. You can use whatever you want as well. I'm going to show you a trick here because we don't want to look up 3 sets of data in sequence, as in look up this, then look up that, then look up that. What we're going to do is look all 3 of them up at once. So to do that, we are going to use another flow logic called do the following in parallel. This is excellent for tasks, but in my case, also good for lookups. So now that we have do the following in parallel within that node, we are going to do our first lookup. So action, lookup records. And the first thing we're going to do is look up on risk. This has the same problem as before. When I say risk, it's all these tables. So we're just going to wrap those in the square brackets. And there's my risk table, nice and handy in the search. Now risk is a funny table. It doesn't have an active. So we're going to have to search for the open risks via state. So we're going to say state is one of pending, open, or work in progress. And we also want state risks without mitigation plans, because that's going to be super important for our PM. So we're going to say mitigation plan is empty. And we also have to make sure that they are risks for the project that we are in at this point. So we need to make sure that the top project or the top task rather, is the exact project that we're at in the for each loop. So we are going to look for our for each loop, and we're going to grab the project record that we're on. Okay, we're going to drop that into our top task, and that's how the Flow Designer will know iteration after iteration which project to make sure it's grabbing the related records for. We're going to hit done, and I don't necessarily want to duplicate a whole lot of work, so let's take that and copy it. So let's open that one, and instead of risks on this one, we're going to grab issue. In this case, we're going to do active is true, and state is one of, pending, open, working, closed. Also, we want only high priority ones. So let's go priority is one of, critical or high. And what else do we have to do for issues? We have to make sure we're only getting the issues for that project. As we learned before, let's go to the top task and make sure that that is the project record from the for each iteration that we're in. So here's our for each, grab the project record, bang. Okay, now we've got the problem where we have these long lookup titles, and I want to make sure that I'm a good steward for those who come after me. So let's go ahead and document these with an annotation. So let's say this one is unmitigated risks. Okay, that way somebody can read my intent without kind of understanding this long string. Okay, and then this one is high priority issues. Okay, let's give this one a copy. Now we have a third lookup, and this one's gonna go against project change requests. So let's change our table to project change request. Again, we want active is true, and we want a state that is one of, pending, open, work in progress. And we want to make sure that the project change request is linked to this project. We don't have a top task column in change. We only have a parent. So this is where it's going to be a little bit different. Parent is, so again, we take our for each section here, grab the project record, and that ensures that it puts the sys ID for the project that we're already on. And then let's change up the comment here. This is open project change requests. All right, now it is time to bring all of this together on a project status report. So outside of our do all the things in parallel, we are now going to create ourselves a record. We're going to use the flow action of create record, and we're going to annotate this with project status report. So those that come after me can quickly eyeball this and understand what's going on. And we're going to use the table status report. It's labeled as status report, but its database name is project status. All right, let's fill in some fields. Okay, the first and most important is that this project status gets linked to the appropriate project. Now, we've done that a whole bunch of times in this video already. This should be second nature to you. So let's pick the field of its parentage. I believe that's project. And then we're still in that for each, right? We're still within this for each, so we still use the for each project record. There, now we know that our status report is linked to the right project. Now remember, we did all those lookups so that we could utilize that data in our project status report. So we want to fill out our executive summary with that data. My neighbor's dog is barking like crazy. I hope you guys don't hear that. So we're going to populate the executive summary field. So I'm going to say, write your executive summary here. And then let's put some automated metrics here. And the first thing we're going to tell them is the number of unmitigated risks. And how do we find that? Well, let's go to our lookup for the unmitigated risks, and let's grab the count. Let's drop that. Now let's grab the high priority issues, and then we'll grab the lookup for that, which was number 6 issue records, but we want to grab the count. Seems like it doesn't want to drop it into this editor at the right spot, so I've got to drop it in at the top and then drag it. Not annoying at all. And now let's go open change records, and we use our lookup for the open change records, but we're grabbing the count. We'll drag and drop that in. All right, so that should put us in good stead. So we've told the project manager that we want them to write their own executive summary, but we've also provided them with some meaningful information within that executive summary. So let's hit done. And now it's time to give it a test. Hit test, hit run test. Now that the test is completed, I want to go view the results. So I am going to go right down to the create record because we see that it did create that project summary, and let us go actually open the record, which is one thing I just love about testing Flow Designer. You can just open the record right up. All right, so you can see that it's got all the dates right. It's linked it to the right project. and it's put in our text. So write your executive summary here, and it's also populated the information that we wanted, saying that there was 2 unmitigated risks, 2 high priority issues, and 1 open change record. All right, folks, and there you have it. Using really simple components like lookup records and do in parallel and for each, and then exploiting those lookups by dropping the information about them into a description field, we could make the lives of our project managers a lot easier by eliminating their need to create project status reports manually. Hope you got some value out of that, and I will be glad to see you on the next one. One more thing, folks, I just want you to know that I am just like you. I've spent 13 or 14 years in the ecosystem, and I know what it is like to want to step up in the world. I know what it's like to want to know what other opportunities are out there. I know what it's like to be undervalued. And so if you feel that, I want you to come to me, because I do recruiting now. A number of companies have told me to be on the lookout for good talent. And also, if you are one of those companies that's searching and searching and searching for ServiceNow talent, you're tired of the regular providers, who better than somebody who has been in the ecosystem as long as I have, who knows the product as well as I have, to search for and vet the talent that you need. When you work with Robert Fedoruk, you're guaranteed that the candidates I give you are already fully vetted. Hit me up at the email you see here.